Hey fans and subscribers, this is your host Joe on the Gaming for Insight channel with you in another video to discuss a BIOS update available for the One X Player X1. And I have my One X Player X1 in front of me, as you can see. The BIOS update has to do with a video that One X Player released April 11th of 2024 regarding its next One X console update 0.7.8. And in this update, you will be able to use the Intel Smart Dynamic Mode, also referred to as Intel DTT. And there are some alleged benefits in using the Intel APU with this feature that I am excited to explore upon getting the update myself. Now, you are prompted in the YouTube video that One X Player provided to update to One X Console 0.7.8. However, one of the prerequisites to using the Intel DTT or Intel Smart Dynamic Mode is to also upgrade the BIOS. And as of today, on April 18th, we do have an update to BIOS version 2.42. And I just want to show on my X1 that I am using the version 2.41. So let me bring that back up for you to see in just a moment. So here we are, and you can see BIOS version 2.41, and the date of version 2.41 is 03/2024. However, the date of the BIOS that I am showing in the video today is going to be dated April 12th, 2024. And this BIOS update was released on the One X Player X1 Intel Discord channel for the One X Player server. And the file has some instructions as well that we can follow, and I have those to my side, so I'm just going to be following the instructions and walking through this BIOS update. So the first step we want to take is to prepare our USB drive, and as you can see, I do have a USB drive here that I am using for this update, and we want to make sure that it is compatible with using the FAT32 partition type. So let's go into our File Explorer here, and let's go to our UDisk C. In this case, this is what I have plugged in, and I have nothing on this stick drive, and I have formatted it already. However, if you want to follow through with doing that, you can right click here or double tap on the trackpad is what I'm doing, and go to, let's see, show more options. And then we want to go to format as one of our options here. And I will zoom in here with my camera, but as you can see, we have the capacity, but importantly, the file system that we want to choose from is FAT32, and that is default. Now, I've already done this, as I mentioned, so I am using FAT32, though you can follow through with formatting. And if you are going to do this, I recommend saving any files that are on this stick drive or the one that you are using, and then formatting. And I would not do a quick format, just to be thorough. That at least is my recommendation. If you want to confirm that you have done the process correctly before you start with the additional next steps, then what you can do is you can right click on the stick drive. For me, it's going to be UDisk, and then go to Properties. And as you can see, the file system type is identified here as FAT32. So I know that I'm using the FAT32 file system for this stick drive. So now that we have covered that, we can then transition to the next step. I will make one note that it is recommended in the instructions to use a stick drive that is greater than 1 gigabytes. So for this case, I'm using one that is greater than 1 gigabyte. The options are also listed to use 2, 8, 16, and 32 gigabyte as also acceptable storage sizes for this. So the next step we want to do is we want to change the volume label to the drive letter or drive letter, excuse me. We want to change the volume label to shell. So let's go into our UDisk here and let's go to properties, and then let's name this to shell, and it's all in uppercase according to the instructions here. There is mention of a period after the L, but I am going to identify that as just putting a period at the end of the sentence and not putting it after the L intentionally here for labeling this. So we're just going to call this shell as I have here in the instruction. So we will go ahead and press apply there. And might as well, since we're in here, you can also see that the capacity of this stick drive is 29.7 gigabytes here. Use space and free space. So if you want to verify that yourself, you can do that as well here to make sure you are using more than at least 1 gigabyte for your options there. Okay. So we will select apply and then hit OK. And then we should see that this is now called shell. You can look further here in our devices and drivers. No period. All right. So with that, we can transition to the next step here. And that is going to extract the package to the desktop. Now, I have taken the liberty of going ahead and downloading the compressed zipped folder from Discord that was shared by an administrator there. So I'm just going to go to my downloads here, and the file is titled X1 Intel OXC BIOS EC V42V65-. And you are welcome to reach out to me on Discord if you would like a copy of this file, or just going to the 1xPlayer Discord and speaking to one of the administrators. One of them can happily provide this file to you as well. So the steps here are to extract the package to the desktop. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click here on the compressed file. I'm going to extract all. I'm going to have the destination prompt here on where I want it to go, and I'm going to select desktop there and select folder there, just anywhere on the desktop, and then show extracted files when complete. I have that checked, and I will select extract, and those files are now extracted. Here is the folder on desktop, so I'm going to open that. And you can see in this file too, there is a Word document, and that is here, and that's actually a copy of the instructions that I am reading from in doing this video. So that is available to you if you want to peruse those. But the files that we want to focus on are actually in this folder, this GM15, 1xPlayer X1 iShell BIOS EC, and it looks like there's more starting with V there and the rest of it. And so I am now going to open that folder, and then I am going to copy these 4 files according to the instructions. So I'll just select them, do a Control-C here. Now the instructions say after extracting the package to the desktop to copy the 4 files from the compressed package to the root. What I am going to do is copy the 4 files from the uncompressed or extracted package to the root of our USB drive. And that's what I'm doing here, because this is from the desktop and these are the files and they are the ones that are extracted. So we have copied these, and I'm going to minimize that, and then going to go to my stick drive here called shell, and Then I'm going to double tap, and I'm just going to paste these here in the folder, the root rather, of the stick drive. So I did not create an additional folder within shell. As you can see, I can maximize this. This is the root destination of the stick drive. There is no folder created within it, and they are just placed within the stick drive there. All right, so we are at the third step in the instructions, and that is to shut the device down and install the BIOS. So I'm just going to close out this folder, and then I am going to do a shutdown here. All right, the device is shut down, and I recommend plugging in your power. So I have my power connected here on my X1, and the process here is to turn on the device and then hold the turbo button down as well. Do a long press on that after turning it on. Okay, so it took me some tries to get into the BIOS. It was not self-explanatory to me. And so what I did was I held down the power button for the 2 seconds, and then I held down the turbo button, and as soon as I saw the 1X console text on the screen, I let it go, and then I was able to get into the BIOS menu that you see here. Nonetheless, we are in the BIOS menu, and as you can see, for the UEFI, the iExpand flash drive partition, this is going to be our flash drive that we have put those 4 files on earlier in the video. So I am going to select enter, and the flashing is going to begin. All right, and according to the instructions, the flashing will take approximately 3 to 5 minutes, but you saw that for this video, I did record the process that was taken with the flashing, and the machine will shut down automatically following the flashing once that has completed. And that concludes step 5, transitioning to step 6. Upon normal startup, enter the system, and you will be able to find that Intel Smart Dynamic mode. And it is noted here in the instructions that the first boot following the flashing, once that is completed, the first boot can take approximately 2 to 3 minutes, so we need to be patient with that, and that is standard with these BIOS updates once flashing has completed. So let's give it a boot. All right. Okay, so we are getting a boot, and that took 1.5 minutes. I had my stopwatch open on my phone here on the side because I was just curious how much time it would take. But just to clarify, I held down the power button for approximately 2 seconds, and I let the system sit, and I did not press the power button again, even though there was no activity happening. I was giving the machine 2 to 3 minutes, and so it took less than 2 minutes. But if you do not see any activity after doing a normal power on cycle for your system to boot it up, then I recommend not pressing the power button again to try to get your X1 to start up. So it took, for me, 1.5 minutes. All right, so I am going to log in here. Now I am seeing that the pin is no longer available for me to use, so I need to set up a pin, and this actually happened with the last BIOS update that I did, and you can see that in my previous video too. And so I'm going to go through the steps to set up a pin here. All right, so I will follow the steps and submit my password here. And then I will follow through with the 2FA. All right, and we'll continue with the step here and set up my pin. All right. Okay, and we have authenticated to access Windows. All right, so now what I do want to check is to see if with the previous version that released before One X Console 0.7.8, if the previous version, as the instructions seem to allude to here, that I still should be able to access the Intel Smart Dynamic Mode, or DTT feature, with being on the previous version. So if I look at the One X console here, I'm still on version 0.7.7 because I didn't update the One X console as of yet. I just went ahead and did the BIOS. But before we do that, let's confirm that the BIOS update did indeed complete. So I'm just going to open up HW Info here. All right, let me minimize this. And then let's go to motherboard. And I see that I am on version, let me just pull up my notes here really quickly. And I see here that I am on version 2.42. I'll move my cursor there. So BIOS version 2.42. And our date is 04/08/24. Interestingly, I am showing here in the notes from Discord that it should be 04/12/24. So I do see that as disagreeing there, but I do have the BIOS version 2.42. So perhaps you will see this date as well, 04/08/24. But we're in April from March at least. So that is an upgrade, so to speak. All right. So with that out of the way, let's go into the One X console. All right. So I am going to position my camera here. Now, the Intel Smart Dynamic Mode should be in the additional settings. So we are going to bring those out. And it does not appear that the Intel Smart Mode is available with the 0.7.7. So it should be up here. It should be above Intel Turbo Boost, and it is not there. So even though the instructions say that you can find the option to enable or disable Intel Smart Dynamic Mode in the settings before version 0.7.8. I jumped ahead there. That is not the case, at least for me, in doing this BIOS update. So with that, let's go into the One X console, and let's go ahead and upgrade to the correct version. So I'm just going through the process to do an update for the One X console. I selected my little anonymous icon over here, check for update, and I see here that there is an option for 0.7.8. So I am going to go through the steps to install that here. I just hit the install button and the download process is commencing. Okay, it looks like One X console did close down, and here we are with the setup process. Going to select install. All right, and then we can run the console. That is checked by default. Selecting finish, so we'll just give that a moment. Okay, and let's see what is, okay, so it is not open at this time. Oh, there it is. I think it just emerged. So I will right click here and I see that I am on 0.7.8 based on the icon. And it looks like One X console did open for me. So let's minimize this and let's hit our turbo button. All right, and then I am going to go to the additional settings, and I do see the Intel Dynamic Performance Mode. Sorry about the camera there. Above Intel Turbo Mode. I know, what a relief, right? We wanted to see that after doing all of this, and we can enable this, and right now, without it enabled, you can see that the performance user interface here just shows what we've seen with the 6 watt, 10 watt, 15 watt, up to 35 watt. And I have 10 watt here that is selected. So I'll maximize out just a little bit so you can see the change. And then we're going to select the Intel Dynamic Performance Mode, and the menu this part of the user interface does change. We have 3 options: energy save, balance, and high perform. And that is going to be the video here for updating the BIOS. And this BIOS has released as of today, which is April 18th on a Thursday. So let me know in the comments, have you installed this new BIOS update? Are you using it? Are you seeing any changes in the performance based on the previous BIOS? Were you able to successfully install it? Did you have difficulty? Did this video help you? I look forward to reading what you have to say in the comments. Now that we have reached the conclusion of this video, let me share with you some important channel content you don't want to miss. Gaming for Insight is a member and one of the founders of the Handhelds United Discord server and YouTube channel. You can find me and other channels you want to know about on this server. So join us on Discord, see the invite to the server in the video description. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to these other channels for additional content on gaming, handheld devices, and more. Those are Gamers Generation, your friendly AI with a sense of witty humor that uploads informative reviews, tutorials, and more. OKS Gamer. You can find the latest and more than OKS reviews on gaming handhelds and benchmarks, as well as videos on performance with certain drivers. CPPC Tech, known for his awesome mod on the ROG Ally, this channel has reviews and more on gaming handhelds and accessories. Windeck Tech, find candid and informative videos on gaming and the tech space with gaming handhelds and more. Handheld Hardware, formerly known as Project SBC, get the latest perspective from an astute programmer, designer, and reviewer on gaming devices. Now, wouldn't it be neat if all of these channels, including mine, all got together in one place for, say, a podcast to share our knowledge on everything handheld gaming? Well, as a matter of fact, we do. Subscribe to the Handheld United YouTube channel and don't miss our live weekly podcast that I host on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join in the live chat where you can comment on what we discuss and partake in our trivia nights. Links to the YouTube channels mentioned are in the description of this video. So with that, in the words of Commander Shepard from Mass Effect, I should go.